Howdy fellas, let me ask you something real quick. What do you think is the most boring crop in the game? In my opinion, it is a parsnip. It's quick, it's easy, and it's a parsnip. You know, it's the first thing you get in the game. Well, what if I told you that I spent an entire month in game just farming nothing but parsnip? The rules for this are simple. I can sell nothing but parsnips, and I cannot buy anything other than parsnips. So with the rules out of the way, let's get into this. So I started this week off by spending my 500 gold on all the parsnips that I could. This left me with 40 parsnips. After I planted the parsnips and watered them, I then started to clear out the surrounding area. I wanted to go ahead and do this at the beginning of the month because I didn't want to waste my precious stamina later on clearing out a big area when my garden gets bigger. But that's all I did up until day 5, which was harvest day. I picked my 39 parsnips up and I went to Pierre's to sell them. It was 39 because of a crow. When I sold them, I immediately bought more and my number went up from 40 to 68 in just 4 days. When I got back, I made a couple of scarecrows just to ensure that the crow situation never happened again. After that, nothing special really happened until the next harvest day on day 9. I sold my 68 parsnips, and in return I bought 123. I expanded my garden and started to run into the first big problem. And this was the fact that watering my crops took almost all of my stamina. Anyway, harvest day finally came, and I ran into another problem. It's the egg festival, and Pierre's is closed. So I had to skip today, and when in the morning, I sold my 123 parsnips, and I got back 234. I got back and I started planting, but then my worst fear came to life. I ran out of stamina while I still had 80 parsnips to plant. Yeah, I'm cooked. And I'm even more cooked when you think about how I'm gonna have around double the amount next time I sell. Day 15 came around and luckily it was a rainy day. I used this rain to plant the extra 80 parsnips that I had, but this created a problem for me. Since I planted parsnips yesterday and today, I now have 2 harvest days instead of 1. Now this can be seen as a blessing and a curse because on one hand, it spaces out my work, therefore helps me with my stamina issue. But on the other hand, it spaces out my work, and this is a time-sensitive challenge. I guess it's a win-win or it's a loss-loss, I don't know. Anyway, also I forgot to mention this happened to me before I woke up that day. So now I have this on my farm. Moving on to day 16, I literally just walked outside, saw that it was raining, went back inside, and then fell asleep. This was a very questionable decision. But anyway, what's done is done. On day 17, something very bad happened. I was not able to water all of my crops due to my energy being too low. I thought I was cooked, but then I decided to go foraging so I could eat what I found. I accidentally spent all day doing that, barely being able to finish my crops. But here's my haul of food for the remainder of this challenge. I also found a leprechaun hat out there, which is crazy because at first I just had the stone owl, which is really rare, I think. And now I have this hat, which is also rare, I also think. This save is definitely getting crazier and crazier, but anyway, moving on to day 18. This was harvest day part 1, so I picked up what was ready, which was 144 parsnips, and I bought some more. It ended up being roughly around 300 seeds just for this one harvest day. Tomorrow is going to kill me if today doesn't. I stayed out until 12:50 just planting and watering crops, and I didn't even get it all the way done. The next day comes and it's harvest day part 2. I got my parsnips that were ready and I planted the remainder from yesterday in their place. After watering, I sold what I had and bought 170 back, bringing my total to around 470 parsnips. I stayed up again this night and I still missed the mark by 5 seeds, which annoys me. Day 20 came and I literally burned through all of my food that I got just to water my plants. This makes it impossible for me to be able to water them on day 21, but luckily that was solved by Mother Nature. Day 22 and it is yet again harvest day and I got 287 parsnips. I saved them because I wanted to sell all of my parsnips at one time, so the next day I added 137 to my total. And the day after that I added 5 entire parsnips. This makes my total bump up to 429 parsnips in my inventory at this given second. The next day I went to Pierre's and sold everything I got, and this is how much money I ended up with. All right. Let's see what we got. 10. Oh my gosh. 10,374. 5,922. 3,990. Ending up with a total of $20,000. And total earnings 38,205.